Does transfer over into armor. This does transfer into Softkit. So these are things that we can practice. There are slight changes. Normally when we do that snap down, it's that grab, drop. Same thing with this, you just gotta make a slight change. So now instead of using my hand, I'm typically grabbing, I'm hooking my sword behind his head, and same thing, pop it down. It is, I will say it's a little harder to get a guillotine from that. Generally, you gotta do a couple. So a lot of times what I do, it's like I'll pop it down, and then pop it down, and then grind it over. Because with the helmet, and the gear, and everything like that, it does make it harder in some aspects because everything's just bigger, but it's still functional. Also, you can add in the element of, now I'm hooked in here. I can also, if you got an axe or IMCF, you got a sword, boom, now I can crank it with both hands, drop it down, come over. And again, like I said with this guillotine, I start with an elbow to get that down, and then I may or may not, depending on what they're due, I might come underneath, I might just stay here, and I might just lock them in. I might grab back here and just try to sink them down. So some slight changes there. It is a little more challenging to come all the way around because you do have a sword, but that elbow hooked into the top is it can be just as good.
Yep. A couple things on that. With the transition being kind of more difficult, I don't know if you do this, I have a tendency to try to get my chest on top of their head after the initial snap down so that I can get my arm free. So like as I snap, boom, and I get to here, I try to load my chest over it so that I can switch over without releasing pressure.
Right, show it.
Alright, so if I'm here, once I go and I snap, I have trouble getting this all the way and over without him getting free. So I get here, I'll go like this. And I push up onto him so he's holding me the whole time. At this point, I can get this free without there being that space that lets someone get free, right? So the idea is once you get some, you don't want to give anything back, right? So the second I hit that down, if I leave space, the guy gets free. So boom, I snap it and I'm over as much as I can, so that when I switch, I can press down on that head so he can't get it back up.
And generally, something to add to this, once you start getting that head down, it's a lot easier to keep getting it down. If they're straight up, this is the hard part. Getting it to break is the hard part. If you're fighting a strong person, you might not even be able to get it to break, right? You might have to be a situational. You gotta throw him off guard. I'll push, he's like, gets a little off balance, now I snap it down. So I'm always kind of fucking with people. Some people I can just muscle it down, some people I can snap it down. So like there's all of these different facets of bringing that head down to a control position.
And then the last thing, Craig does this really well, but he never teaches it, is he'll also just club you with his other hand to get you down. That's the one he gets me with most of the time, because I don't see it coming, is we might be on rail side and we're fighting here, and he'll basically just club me with his big man hand in the back of the head with this side to get my head forward.
Yeah, and that is a good thing. It's both. It works on both sides. It works on both sides.
You want to kind of do it? Because I go under a lot.
It depends. All of these depend on a lot of where their arms are. If his arm is up, it's hard for me to get control into that head. So a lot of times with my hand fighting, I'm like fighting for this inside. I clear this arm, boom, I come back here to grab it and pull that down. And either I get that bulldog position if I'm on a rail a lot of the time, or I'll try to get a guillotine if he's more to the outside portion of the rail.
And I think you can probably tell from that little bit of movement, he does it in a very uncomfortable way, right?
And I want to make it uncomfortable.
Yes, he's not trying to be like, don't try to bend me over there. He gets a moment and he tries to just take my head off. And it's very effective. It gives that snap part of the snap down, right?
These are all just head control elements. These are all pieces. They all work. They're all kind of derived from that snap down. Obviously a little different technique once we have gear and stuff on here, but learning that snap down from no gear transfers over to the ways you can do it in gear.
Yep. Right. So the next one that we're going to go over, we're just going to talk about these two real quick because we're going to do it plenty later. I don't want to break. We've already broken up. We've already trained these, so we're just going to talk about it different. The next one is the pinch headlock. Again, this one is way easier with gear if you have an axe or it's IMCF, right? It just makes things so easy. And so learning to do this gets a lot easier. Is how many times will someone let you get here, right? This is a pretty common stance. With this headlock, I can just drop this and grab it, all right? Once I do this, it gets way easier for me to start working up, and again, I'm just working up on my blade, all right? This lets you tighten it and sink it from a much farther distance. So if y'all play with that today, think about that, because this is one that, like, it's super effective out of kit if you get it. It's hard to get. In kit, it's not actually that hard to get if they don't know what, if they don't know exactly how to defend it. All right? So that's all I'm going over there.
And remember, and just real quick, there is some gear differences in terms of HMB and IMCF. So in IMCF, we can grab a blade, and HMB you can. We like to have everybody understand that there is a difference. People, if you are fighting with an axe, people can grab your axe. So that's it. I have just transitioned to a hand axe only because I now feel like I have enough grappling skill to use a hand axe after this many years. So I don't recommend it if you are not a good grappler.
Yeah, it is. There's definitely a lot of give and take on the meta. To this day, I still use a falchion if I'm going against a really hard team that I'm not confident I can win, because I hate people grabbing my weapon. And also, to this day, I grab people's weapons all the time and use it very efficiently. I am very happy anytime they have an axe, because it lets me play my game way more.
I love when people fight with hand axes, because that is one more way I can manipulate you. I love it. You're just giving me an advantage.
There is definitely give and take. All right, so this is the next thing that I want to actually go over. So we're going to go over a couple judo things before we get into some actual wrestling with gear. All right. For this, I might go over here. I need people, every group of 2, I need you to have at least one long-handled weapon, so that, like, there is space for me to grab it as though it was a hand axe, or have a grappling stick. So every group of 2 just needs one in between. All right, that's all that matters. And so we'll go into it. So one of the reasons judo is so effective